Hey everybody, Doug Cohen here on behalf of Hale Media as well as Football Alumni of Michigan, FAM. FAM is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and the official home for those who have worn the winged helmet and those who supported the team throughout our storied history. Players, managers, trainers, coaches, and we do this through providing healthcare, legal, career, financial assistance to our teammates in need. We have a mental health hotline called Wolverine Hope, which is available 24/7 for former players, team members, and their families who might be in crisis and need help. And we are also committed to mentoring and associating with the current team because those guys and gals, team members, they are all going to be us when they're done with their time at Michigan. And to that end, we've got 4 current players on the team who are Football Alumni of Michigan ambassadors, liaisons between FAM as well as their teammates. And Nico Andrighetti, Jordan Marshall, Dan Taraboi, and James Kavouklis are phenomenal young Wolverines. 3 of them are fifth-year seniors, and we were able to talk with 2 of them, James Kavouklis and Dan Taraboi. I sat down with both of them to talk about what it means to be a FAM ambassador and a Michigan Wolverine. Without further ado, let's talk to James and Dan. Go Blue. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm joined now by Mr. Dan Taraboi, who is a graduate senior at Michigan, offensive lineman from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, which is north of Milwaukee. I did a little homework on you, Dan.
Love
How
it.
you doing?
I'm great. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you. We're just going to keep this brief, but want to talk a little bit of football and a little bit about your experience. And most importantly for this particular feature, the fact that you are an ambassador for the Football Alumni of Michigan, for the team. So you're like a liaison between your teammates and the alumni group. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first of all, Cedarburg, I have not spent much time in Milwaukee. You're just north of Milwaukee. What led you to Michigan instead of, say, down the street to Madison, for example?
Yeah. So I think the first thing I always say when people ask about my recruiting is I was recruited at the tail end of COVID. So my opportunities to go visit at schools, I wasn't able to go to a lot and visit a lot. So that was
Ah,
already at my disadvantage. But the main thing was I was a diehard Wisconsin fan growing up. Like, I mean, I'm never going to lie about that, but they didn't say a word to me in high school, not a single word. And that's pretty unusual for, like I'm a tall guy, tall lineman to come out of Wisconsin and not go to Wisconsin. It's pretty unheard of. So they didn't say a word to me in high school, but I'm so glad because the first ever college visit I took was to the University of Michigan. I was with my dad and I knew right away it was like finding my first love. I was like, Dad, there's no other place I wanted to be. And at the time, they hadn't offered me yet. So, like, I would visit these other schools and I'd be like, Dad, I don't want to go anywhere else. I need the Michigan offer. And then so they finally offered me. And then I committed on the spot. I was like, I need to be here. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I want to be here. And it turned out to be the best decision of my life. So I'm really grateful for it.
that's awesome. Well, and listen, we're not here to bash our rivals, but is there really any comparison? There's no place like
No,
Michigan.
it's,
So,
it's no place.
well, we're glad you made it to Ann Arbor, and you're a 3-time Letterman now, 2-time academic All Big Ten, which is really nice. Well done, man. And what are you studying at Michigan?
So I did my undergrad in communications and media, and then I'm going to do my grad school in the Raw School of Business in the master's management program. So hoping to get
Oh,
a
that's
grad school degree in management.
when we've had our mentoring dinners, when the football alums come back and meet with current players. We like to think that from the time that you get to Michigan, it's never too early to start thinking about your future, but your future is just about here.
Yeah.
So, so you've had some time to, think about it. And it sounds like you're on a pretty good track going to
Yeah.
Ross for management. I
Mhm.
mean, it sounds like you've got some plans. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So I would say I don't necessarily know exactly what I'll do yet. I think that sales is going to be a good option for me just because of who my personality is. Uh, but I haven't actually figured that out. But I would say the main thing for me is, especially not knowing what I want to do, is I'm going to, that's another thing I love about Michigan is I'm able to rely on my connections so heavily, like you said, through these dinners and like just who I met throughout the years on campus, like just out and about, uh, because people want to help, and I'm willing to try new things. So I think that recipe could really work out because I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I'm going to try new things, and I know the right people to get the right jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to circle back to that in a second, but I also want to be sure to strike that balance that you're trying to strike because this is your last year on the team and you want to make the most of that too. And you're also part of a new beginning in the program, which is kind of nice to be a part of, at least to, the new chapter, because I think the future is really bright. You've got Coach Harding here as an offensive lineman. What has he emphasized for you? What did you work on this spring to try to make sure you squeeze every ounce of potential so that you can reach your ceiling this year and really go out with a bang as a graduate senior?
Yeah, so I'd say for the football side of things, it's definitely my flexibility and mobility, just for the raw football. If we're talking just football, because when I was freshman, I ended up having back surgery, so I'm pretty stiff. But we stretch every day after practice. Like he makes sure that he's always harping on us to make sure that we're stretching. So for me, that's the biggest thing. And for off the field, the first time I ever met with Coach Harding, I told him I want to be leader of the room. And at first he told me he's like, who's this kid? Like, like, is he really going to do that? And then, towards the end of the spring, he's like, yeah, like you really are about it. So like, just challenge me off the field because I'm the oldest guy in the room, or second oldest, now. So there's two sides to it, because one's just as big as the other, so leading and setting it a good example for the other guys and keeping the culture.
So this allows you, being an ambassador for FAM allows you to do that on a double track, really, right?
Oh.
I mean, as a player in the room, as an offensive lineman in the O-line room, but also as a leader on the team, not just from, work ethic on the field and how to go about your business preparing for the season, but to emphasize now that you're starting to see, beyond what your next step from when you leave Michigan and the importance of networking and starting to think about your future. What are you doing in that regard as an ambassador for the football alumni group and stressing the importance for maybe the younger guys around you of how important it is to utilize that network, connect with former players who want to help and be mentors for you guys?
Yeah, so I became an ambassador this past semester, so it's kind of been my first go around at it. But I would say the biggest thing that I've been doing to express my ambassador and my love for like fam and the team is just lead by example. It's like I said before, I'm well connected throughout the whole campus, the cities in Michigan and all over really. And the guys see that, like the guys see that I know people, the guys see that, like they're like, oh, like how do you know this guy? Well, it's like you actually have to like go out of your way and like reach, like you got to get out of your comfort zone. And so I think that leading by example is a really important aspect to it, because words are just cheap. Talk's just cheap. If I just tell guys about fam, it's like, oh, you need to talk to this guy because he's who one wants to help you out. Like dudes don't get out anything out of that, so you gotta, make sure you go out by do it yourself and lead by example. And I think all four of us really do a good job of that.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. I think that we've always, as former players, when we come back to talk to you guys, we love to have the opportunity to talk to you about life and about careers and what's going to be going on after you're done at Michigan. We've always tried to encourage and hope that the current players will send us a DM or will text us or reach out and keep those relationships going. And that's why I think it's so important to have ambassadors like you in the building, imparting the importance of that to your teammates, because it's a big deal and not everybody's thinking that way. So I think it's really good to have you guys in the building with that message. So Dan, tell us a little bit about that internship. What was that like? What are you learning? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so we have this program within our team called Empower. I'm not sure if you know what it is, Doug, but it's called Empower, set up through John Rachi. And so what it is yeah. So we don't have time throughout the whole summer to do like a traditional internship per se, because we have workouts all summer. So May's really the only month we have off. So what these are is little week-long internships where they basically just mentor you for the whole week and show you the ins and outs of these companies. But these companies, as we said, like before, these are big companies because Michigan's really well connected and they want to help. So what I did down here was we went through all departments every day. Like the first day we were with the sales team and we went on the field and like, put in inventory orders for Celsius. And then the next day we were in marketing and sports agency marketing and content creation. We went to some really nice dinners, like the best down here in Boca, which is unbelievable. We met with, the CEO, the president, picking their brains. We were able to pick every executive's brain, and ask questions because that's really important. Like nobody really gets that exposure. So it was really, really cool to be able to ask these guys questions because they've seen so much and they know so much, so it's just things like that. And like I said before, it's unbelievable for connections. Like I'm leaving this place now with a ton of connections I can hit up, when I'm down here and they want to help us out up there with some drinks and Celsius and stuff. So it's been an unbelievable week and I really, really appreciate them having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad it was a great experience for you.
It was sweet.
Well, hey, Dan, it was great talking to you. Thanks for joining and safe travels on your way back from your internship down in Boca.
Appreciate you, Doug. Thanks for having me, man. Go Blue.
Yeah, go Blue. Hey, everybody, we are here now with another FAM ambassador, a current player on the team, Mr. James Kavouklis. James, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Excited to be here.
I'm good. Good to have you here. I met you a few years ago at one of the mentoring dinners, and we ended up sitting at the same table for a couple of those events as they kind of pair players with former players based on like industry and what you're interested in career-wise and all that type of thing, right? So
yeah, we've been at the table for what, 3 years in a row. It seems like we've always found a way to run into each other.
I know, right? I think so, yeah. And so thanks for joining. And I just want to get into a couple questions about you and then talk about how you're an ambassador for the football alumni of Michigan and how that's come about. But first, let's go back for just a minute and talk about how you got up here to Michigan from Tampa in the first place. What was that decision like and how did you end up here?
So it really all started, it goes back, I think, to one of my high school football coaches. His name was Garrett Rivas. He was a kicker at Michigan. Yeah,
of course.
So
that explains that explains a little bit.
And so I knew him for a while growing up, and I'd always go to like the high school football camps. I've got pretty close with him, and obviously he's a big Michigan guy and preaches, Michigan, always wears hats and things like that. So it was really kind of the first exposure I got to seeing the school and thinking about it. And funny enough, so I play offensive line, but I was a long snapper in high school, and that's originally what I got recruited as. And so I just got a call one day from Coach Banta, who was on the staff with Coach Harbaugh when I first got here, and that's really how he recruited me, was for a long snapper. And it wasn't until like 3 days before the signing day where I got a call from Coach Newsome, and he was kind of like, "Hey, we see your offensive line film from high school. Like, why don't you come on and try and do both?" But so I think for me, really, I didn't have any exposure to Michigan because I was from Florida my whole life. Both my parents went to Florida State, and everybody around is either a FSU or UF fan. And it really kind of reminds me, I see a lot of similarities between that and MSU and UM. I see a lot of similarities in that rivalry, so that kind of like made it have some little home feel to me, because obviously when you come up on the recruiting visits, they show you everything and talk about the history of the school. I think that was one thing that really stuck out to me, was just how historic of a program Michigan is. And even while I've been here, just we were part of the 1,000 wins, and I couldn't tell you the exact number, but we've been to so many Rose Bowls and national championships. And I think that's really a big part that stood out to me, was just how much history there is with the school.
Yeah. Well, and I think listen, you're preaching to the choir on that one, because I've been, bleeding maize and blue my whole life. So I love, one of my favorite things about being a Michigan man is just all the history and the tradition that came before me and being a part of it. So, I think that you and Dan and Nico and Jordan, you guys as the fam ambassadors, I think you have to have a little bit of a sense of that because fam ambassadors, well, you're an ambassador for the football alumni group. So your connection to the alumni community is obviously something that you guys understand and feel like is important to you to be connected with us and with Football Alumni of Michigan as an organization. And now that I'm on that thought, talk about that a little bit. Talk about what being a fam ambassador means, from a day-to-day or a practical standpoint with your teammates in the building.
I think in terms of what it means to me, I like to think of it just kind of as a family. And I mean, obviously with the name fam, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just seeing the amount of passion and how much guys care who've come through and worn the jersey, or even if they didn't, just were part of the school, part of the program. I take a lot of pride in that. Because it's hard being a football player at any level. And so you have the guys that all came there before us coming back and trying to help and show love and just mentor us in any way they can. So kind of like I said, I really appreciate the fact that they do that for us. I think it's a big honor as a player to be able to have a school and program where like I said, people just have so much love and passion for it. In terms of how I feel like I interact with it, kind of in the locker room and day to day, I like to consider myself a pretty outgoing guy. If I see fellow alumni coming, I try and always talk to them if I can and try and reach out and make those connections. So I think I just try and help guys understand what it can do for you and what it means. Like we've had a lot of cool experiences, like with Mike Martin. He's we met him at the alumni networking events and we ended up going to a couple concerts with him. We've hung out with him and just seeing kind of the opportunities and doors that being a part of the Michigan brand opens up for you. I try and help guys understand that that's kind of something pretty special that you aren't going to get anywhere else. And it just really, like, it means a lot. Like, I feel honored to be in this position and to be part of the ambassador. I don't take that lightly. It's definitely a position that means a lot to me.
And I think the fact that there's multiple fifth-year seniors that are fam ambassadors, it's really an incredible measure of the culture in this program and in the building from a player-led perspective, because you've had this is the third head coach now since you've been here, and yet you've got guys who are still committed through all of it, through the highs, the bumps in the road. It's been a bit of a roller coaster if you've been in the program now going into your fifth year, and you've seen a lot. And yet from a kind of a player-led perspective, you need leaders like that in the building who can impart to the younger guys, what it takes to win a championship, what it means to be a Michigan man, and to be able to have met with and built relationships with former guys at these mentor dinners that we do, once a year. So I think that bodes well for the future of kind of the alumni community, to have you guys be able to impart to the younger guys why it's important. And then when you come out, you'll have already met so many people and be connected to several classes that came out before you, and then classes that are going to be there for a few years after you're gone. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a question, but those are my thoughts.
No, I mean, I would say, just kind of going off what you've said, I like to kind of view it as, I think Michigan football and just the brand of Michigan, it's bigger than the players itself. It's bigger than the coaches itself. And, you've said we've gone through 3 head coaches, and, each coach has their own core beliefs. Yeah. But to me, like, the players and coaches are nothing without Michigan. And I kind of feel like there's a sense of culture, like you mentioned earlier, that transcends like the current players there and the current coaches there. And I think that's something that I've tried to help people understand, especially like you said, with all the new coaches changes, guys leave, guys come in and out. Especially with this most recent one, that's a big Utah presence coming in. Before it was an in-house hire, so that definitely has more of that culture change. And I feel like it's about trying to blend them together, try and get the new guys to understand what it means to be a Michigan man. Because to me, that's what it's all about. We get preached a lot about just kind of the fundamentals of what it is to be a Michigan man. And, to speak on that for just a brief moment, it's hardworking, you're dedicated, you're loyal, just really like all qualities that make somebody objectively, in my opinion, a good person, is what it means to be a Michigan man. So that's just something I've tried to teach people and help make them understand just what it means to be a part of this culture.
Yep. I think that was really well put, James. And I'll ask you one last question. A lot of the talk is about the alumni community and about the culture and about the team. But tell me, for James Kavouklis, what is your goal going into your last season in terms of what you're working on as a center, as an O-lineman, with a new O-line staff, with Coach Harding, who, by everything I've heard, is a fantastic O-line coach, very well regarded. What have you learned so far? What are you looking to do as you leave it all out there in your last go,
Mhm.
as a Wolverine?
I think in terms of what my goals are, to put it shortly, just make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Give it my all, attack. We have everything's pretty new for us. We got all new strength coaches. It's a new O-line coach. So that kind of gives a fresh start.
Yeah.
It's almost like coming in again as a freshman in terms of the coaches don't really know you. Like you got to make yourself known to them. So I'm trying to just take advantage of that every day I can. Coach Harding's done a great job with the O-line room of building a culture that has a good work ethic. He's always available to help guys out if they need it and ask. After our workouts and team runs, he's always there to if we want to get extra work in and do some drills. So I'm trying to take everything in that I can from him. He's had a lot of success in the past where he's been at. Just produced a couple of linemen that got drafted. And so obviously Coach Harding knows what he's doing. He has a record to back it up. So I'm just trying to learn from him because every offensive line coach has different little techniques that they kind of emphasize more than the next guy would. And so I'm just trying to take it in, see what I can use to grow my game. I want to try and just kind of combine it with all the knowledge I've had from 4 years of previous coaches and see what I can make the most out of. And then in terms of that's like for football wise, but off the field, I'm trying to really take advantage of things like this FAM ambassador and the different opportunities Michigan has. We talk about the alumni, and the football team does an amazing job of getting internship opportunities over times like May and during the summer for guys to do stuff with. So I just did one recently where we got to go to the FBI headquarters and work with their hostage rescue team. And so it was like a leadership course. We learned from their negotiators, their captain of the group, and seeing the way those guys operate, they're putting more on the line, but there is a very team football aspect to it that you get from that. So that was just, another opportunity that I could try and use to help better myself, to try and step up and help lead guys, get young guys going in the right direction. So, the school has so many resources to offer, so I want to try and take advantage of all of them while I can.
That's so cool. That's a great internship, man.
Mhm.
Wow. That's really cool. Do you have your degree already? Do you have your undergraduate already?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I graduated
Yeah.
4 years on time, just a normal kind of path. I graduated with a communications degree, and then
Awesome.
I'm doing a master's of management with the Ross Business School next year.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, it's great to hear, James. I think listen, I've known this for some time now already, but you've got it together. You've got a head on your shoulders. You're on the right path, and I think you're a great representative for us in the building. And I've always been impressed with you, man. So I appreciate you joining to talk about it a little bit today. And best of luck. Stay healthy, and have a great season, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Absolutely. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
If you like this kind of content, please like, share, follow, and subscribe. And as always, go blue.